Hi there, my name is Rae-Mi and I am just a regular Catholic who loves to share my faith. And today I wanted to talk about a specific reading in the Gospel. As I'm recording this, it was Saturday morning, August, 8th, was when this reading came up for the Gospel of the day. And I really wanted to talk about it because I love parts like this in the gospel. And let me tell you why. Because most of the time when people talk about Jesus and what he says, it's always the soft things, the tender things, and those are true and real and absolutely 100%. But nobody likes to bring up the hard things he says and does. It's not as popular, I guess. And it was funny because when I came into the church, of course I didn't read the gospel or anything before I started coming to the church. I would just pick up what people would say in the secular world. And when I started reading the gospel, I was blown away. I mean, those were my favorite parts when he was saying these hard things or these things where he seems kind of annoyed. And I was like, this is great. He's so cool. He's not just some softy who's just like, yeah, whatever, do what you want. That's the kind of what people want you to think Jesus is like, where he's just like, yeah, you do you, man. It's totally cool. But that's not the way he is at all. He is the truth. He is the way, the truth, and the life. So he tells the truth. And sometimes the truth is hard. But here's the part that came up yesterday that I was inspired to talk about today. That it's one of these parts. It just makes me giggle, kind of. It's Matthew 17:14 through 20. When they came to the crowd, a man came to him, knelt before him, and said, Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is an epileptic, and he suffers terribly. He often falls into the fire and often into the water. And I brought him to your disciples, but they could not cure him. Jesus answered, You faithless and perverse generation, how much longer must I be with you? How much longer must I put up with you? Bring him here to me. And Jesus rebuked the demon, and it came out of him, and the boy was cured instantly. Then the disciples came to Jesus privately and said, Why could we not cast it out? He said to them, Because of your little faith. For truly I tell you, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, Move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. So that's the reading. I just love it. When I finished, I still might do this just for fun, but people like to make memes or pictures with a quote, and I kind of just want to put the quote of Jesus saying, How much longer must I put up with you? I don't see anybody putting that up as a quote, but he did say that. And it made me laugh even from the first time I read that, because I'm like, wow, he seems really annoyed. I love it. But when you start thinking a little more deeply about it, okay, well, why is he frustrated? Dig deeper. Like, what is he frustrated about? It's not just like, man, you guys are a piece of work. Like, I can't wait till I'm out here. It's more about something specific. And he points that out later in the gospel here. He says, because of your little faith. So at the end of the day, it's always coming back to faith and us having faith, having trust in him. Of course, he came to St. Faustina, right? And that's where we got the Divine Mercy devotion. And the painting that he told her to have painted says on the bottom, Jesus, I trust in you. So this is what he's been trying to get us to understand. And it's so hard for us, right? Because to have that trust, to have that faith, and that's like the main crux of it all, isn't it? Is that we want to have control. We want to take over. No, I got it from here. This looks like a mess. Obviously I need to take care of it. I need to do something about this. And it's not to say that you aren't supposed to work hard and persevere and take some responsibility in your life and all of that. But you're also supposed to have faith in him. And when you're following him, even when things seem like they're falling apart, it could be that he is taking care of it, right? And you need to have faith in him. Like, okay, well, I am doing what Jesus tells us to do, what the church he established told me to do, and I'm following that. So from there, then I just have to have faith that it's all working out the way he wants it to work out. And seems like the time where he gets frustrated with us, where it's just, why can't you just trust me? I mean, we see it all through Scripture. We see it in the Old Testament with the Israelites. I mean, God leads them out of Egypt with all these incredible signs, where the plagues and all of these things, gives them the opportunity to leave. They get to the Red Sea, right? The Red Sea parts, they go through the Red Sea. I mean, they see all these miracles, but then they're wandering in the desert and they're like, this isn't going to work. This isn't, what did you do? Why did we leave? And they start murmuring, right? Mumbling. And they lose that trust. They lose that faith that God's going to lead them through the desert. And aren't we the same? And here's Jesus, the Son of God, the second person of the Trinity, God himself, saying, your little faith, like, have faith in me. I know what I'm doing. I am your father, I mean, it's like a family. I mean, how many times, as an adult, if you have kids, you're like, and your kids are frustrated. Are we there yet? What about this, that, and the other thing? You're like, I know what I'm doing. I'm taking care of you. Don't worry about it. So that's kind of what he's doing. That's where we see him get the most frustrated, I think. And today's August 9th, as I'm recording this, and we just read today in the gospel for our Sunday Mass, Peter walking out on the water, stepping out on the boat, but then, of course, he ends up falling and Jesus pulls him up. And he says, why did you doubt? Why did you doubt? So it was kind of funny as I was listening to the gospel today. I'm like, oh yeah, it all comes back to that. Come on, trust me, walk towards me, follow the way I've set before you, follow the narrow path. And I'm going to take care of you. And that's the time where we see him get frustrated like that. Is that when we're not following him, when we're not trusting him. So it's really an incredible lesson. And it kind of led me then to think about the martyrs, right? At our particular parish, we just celebrated St. John Vianney's feast day and St. Philomena's feast day. And St. Philomena was a martyr of the early church. And so I'm having all of these thoughts going through my mind from this reading I read to you in the gospel today, and how it just seems to come down to Jesus really wanting us to trust him, surrender to him, have faith in him. And so then I'm thinking about St. Philomena and how she was a martyr. And I'm thinking, wow, from a worldly standpoint, you look at the martyrs and you're like, well, they did trust Jesus and they were killed. So it seems like it didn't work out, right? I mean, if you don't know more than that. But why do we celebrate them? Why do we say they won? They are a saint. They are with Jesus now. They won. Why? Because they never lost the faith. They never lost that faith all the way till death. No one could take their faith away. And they trusted him all the way to the end. St. Paul tells us that we need to persevere to the end, right? Even St. John Vianney himself said, and I believe it was him, forgive me if it wasn't, but I believe it was him, where he said, not all the saints started well, but they ended well. Okay, so if you're still breathing, you can be a saint. We're all called to be saints. St. Augustine said, if not they, why not I? If not they, why not I? Why can't I be a saint? And guess what? He is. He's one of the greatest saints of the church, and you can be too, as long as you're breathing. We always can choose to follow him, to trust him, to surrender to him, to have that faith until the end. And that's why the martyrs are just the most successful of all, right? Because they had every reason in the world. I mean, their very lives were threatened. And they still kept that faith. Like no one can take that away from them. No one can take that away from you. That is the one thing. Someone can take your money, your relationships. Everyone can leave you. You could have nothing. And they can even take your life, but they cannot take your faith. And this is what Jesus is telling us. This is the only time he gets frustrated with us, is when we lose that faith and when we doubt, because he is there. He's there with us. He's going to take care of us. He saved our lives. He's saving our lives constantly, always. He's always there. He gave his own life for us. So it's just amazing to think about. It's so beautiful and mind-blowing to think about these things, and it just turns everything on its head, but at the same time, it makes complete sense. And it's just this expression of love that is so beyond our comprehension and beyond what we can see and experience necessarily, but we still can see and experience it, really. I mean, just like Jesus says, you don't see the wind, but you see the effects of it, right? So when we see that faith, when we see people who have that faith, and when we have that faith, we see the effects of it in our life. So really, the challenge to us is to keep that faith no matter what is happening, no matter what. And I know that's easier said than done. When things are going well, it's super easy to say, keep that faith. Yeah, woo, But when things are going bad, when something bad happens, when you're suffering, when someone you love is suffering, when you've lost something or someone, that's really when it gets to be the most difficult. But Jesus is with you in that. He's with you in that storm. He's there. He was there with the apostles when they were in the storm, and when they thought everything was lost, of course, he rose from the dead. And he said, I am with you always, even to the end of the age. So please, everybody, keep that faith no matter what is going on in your life. Jesus is always with you. I hope you have a wonderful day. God bless you.